Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Victoria Skirbo speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. And I want to tell you a little bit about my fifth show, Conversations with Friends. Today, we're going to be talking to my friend Beth. Beth is a small business owner. She is a massage therapist and yoga instructor. She has had her business for 8 years. And like many of us who are self-employed, um, she is challenged by this COVID-19 epidemic. She's had to close her business, and the future is uncertain. And yet, like many people I know, she is making the best of a challenging situation. And I thought it would be nice for you to meet Beth. And there will be, at the end of this, ways of connecting with her. She is on Facebook. She has a website, and she's also on Instagram for those of you who do Instagram. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to my friend, Beth. All right. Hi, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. And we're going to do another Conversations with Friends. And today I have my friend Beth with us. Say hello, Beth.
Hi.
So Beth and I have known each other for, I think, about 5 years, maybe. Beth, what do you think?
Yep.
About that. And she originally came to me as a patient and then a student, and then I went to her for massage. Beth is a massage therapist, and she owns a studio in actually it's the same town. I think this is considered the same town. She's just in like a little village, the Onset village, which is part of Wareham, I believe. So it's about a 5-minute drive for me. And she owns Ebb and Flow Wellness. And why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came to start Ebb and Flow? What was your idea behind it, and where do things stand now?
Yeah, so I started Ebb and Flow 8 years ago. So this was my 8th year this April. And I don't really remember exactly. I think more I just wanted to work for myself. And I didn't necessarily expect to grow it as big as it has grown. I kind of just started as myself. I think there were 2 rooms, just a massage room and a facial room. And now I have 6 rooms and a yoga studio. So I kind of just went along with what evolved, and I'm a bit of a go-getter anyway, so it's probably not shocking that I landed with a 6 room and a yoga studio. But I did just start as kind of like my own gig, doing massage and facials, and yeah, and pretty much just wanting to be my own boss.
Right. Yeah, I can appreciate that. And being your own boss has its perks, but it also has its challenges, as we know now, as we sit in quarantine. So your place is closed right now, correct?
Yes, and we've been closed, I think technically for like 3 weeks, although it's pretty much been 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks since we really lost the majority of our business. So prior to being officially shut down.
Right. People had a sense not to
Yeah.
to be touched really at that
Yeah.
point, right? Yeah. So, but you, of course, being ever the entrepreneur and ever the problem solver, it hasn't stopped you from doing some things. Why don't you tell us what you're doing? I know you're not just sitting at home with the kids, although for most people, 3 kids would be plenty to do.
Yeah. It would be plenty to do.
Yeah.
Rallying.
Beth has 3 of the most adorable children I think I've ever met, and they all have different personalities, which is probably the most interesting thing about being in quarantine with them. We can talk about them a little later. Talk about what you're doing to keep your sanity.
Yeah, a lot of yoga. I know. So yeah, I set up a virtual streaming studio through Zoom. and myself and my other teachers. It's all donation based, and there's probably about maybe 5 or 6 of us that are streaming classes through Ebb and Flow. We do it from our homes. And so it's all donation based. You don't have to pay to practice, but if you feel you want to, then that is an option. I did at the beginning too, when I'm still doing wellness survival kits, but we kind of did a big push at the beginning. So we made a whole bunch of little kits that had a variety of different health and wellness type of items in them, whether it be stones, or we made essential oil roll-ons, there were skincare masks, a whole variety of different things, teas, stuff like that. So we did that again as a group at the beginning of this whole quarantine, and we would deliver them to people's mailboxes, whoever purchased them.
Yeah, can people still get that if they?
Yeah, yep. So it's still up on my website to be purchased. We still have them available, and that is something that we have ongoing, as well as the classes. And I do have a few people who have wanted some skincare products, so I put my skincare products up online as well too, whatever I have in stock for that.
Right. Yeah, Beth is a real magician with that stuff, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you give us, what's the website, just so people have it? I'm gonna put it in the descriptor, so they'll have it in front of them. But why don't you tell us?
Sure. So it's ebbandflowwellness.com, EBBANDFLOW wellness, WELLNESS.com.
Right.
And I also have my own website for yoga, Beth McLacklan Yoga, but they're both pretty much tied in together. I do the majority of my stuff through Ebb and Flow.
Okay. I'll put that down as well for you. And so besides doing yoga, right, and doing what we can, really, I mean, I've always been self-employed pretty much for my entire career. And now you know, for 8 years doing your own thing. But how do you, there's a lot of stress associated with this because we don't really know what's on the other side of this. I'm an optimist. I have a feeling that it's going to be awesome. But I think you're kind of like that too. You're like, oh, I think it's going to be awesome. I think that's probably why we vibe, because we're both sort of like cockeyed optimists when it comes to this stuff. And of course, you being a Pisces and me being a Cancer, it's all about going with the flow. So there's that. But how do you find your peace throughout this? Do you, I know you practice yoga. What is it about yoga that you found to be most helpful besides the obvious physical benefits of it?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I am like a very physically active individual, or I like to be. So like the physical practice of yoga has always been, you know, part of my MO. But during this time, I think that the silent piece of yoga that like lends a hand to the philosophical and maybe more the spiritual / meditative qualities to yoga have really been more beneficial for me during this time in keeping a balance within my mind, right? I always have the physical practice, or you could go for a walk or a run or a bike ride or whatever. But I feel like in this time for me personally, that hasn't been enough. And I really needed the very, the intricate pieces of the philosophy, or even just the theory behind like why you do yoga, like beyond the physical, like what is happening in the energetic body, the breath body, your mind body, your wisdom body. I definitely have dove like a little bit deeper into those spaces for sure. And I think through the classes that I've been streaming, it's been interesting. My style has definitely changed. I definitely have been doing more of like a meditative, more contemplative type of practice online for my students as well.
Yeah, and I think this time, as we find ourselves at home and, our lives, I mean, some of our lives have quieted down quite a bit. Some maybe not so much when you have 3 kids at home. But I think in both cases, I think it's definitely that meditative, sort of self-reflective, and then the breath work, which I want to talk about a little bit, because the coronavirus, of course, attacks the lungs and the heart. and the lungs primarily, but they're also finding that it's affecting the heart in some patients. And that's the heart, the lungs, and the heart is all the heart chakra stuff, right? And so the benefit of deep breathing to keep your lungs pliable, besides just the sort of the magical places that breath work can take you. I don't think that, I think most people don't breathe. I know I don't breathe, especially when I'm stressed out, especially if my mother is making me crazy, which is every day of my existence, it seems. But I find myself shallow breathing. I find myself, even going into like physical spasm from it because I'm not taking in the breath. I'm not fully, doing that. And so, do you do a lot of breath work with your class that you do with the yoga? Do you see yourself doing more of that or focusing on that?
Yeah, so the breath and the awareness of how we breathe and like the details to the pieces, like there's an inhale, there's a natural pause, there's an exhale, and then there's this moment of suspension before that rhythm repeats. Some people see it as a 3-part rhythm, some people see it as 4. That has always been a very predominant part of my practice, especially when I teach people to move within the breath. So yeah, that has always been, but I have to say that like the things I've brought in more into some of the classes that I'm doing now are like other pieces of pranayama. So it's known as pranayama, are different breath practices. And it's been really interesting, like to work with like a nadi shodhana, which is an alternate nostril breathing breath
Right.
practice.
Yep.
And it's really balancing on the body, right? And I was just in this weekend, a restorative over Zoom training, and restorative yoga, is fantastic for the nervous system and that whole like coming down from the fight or flight, or, the sympathetic, not the parasympathetic, but the sympathetic nervous
Sympathetic.
system, where
Yep.
you're like in that space, right? It works more with the parasympathetic. And we were talking about too, and I forgot about this, like the whole aspect of the vagus nerve, which comes down through the front of your body. It comes right
Right.
and it connects to your diaphragm, which is so, and I kind of forgot about all like the whole aspect of the vagus nerve, which has so much impact on our system. So basic breath awareness, or if you want to take it into more deeper easing beginning pranayama practices or more advanced pranayama practices, in my mind, are like golds, like in this time that we're in right now.
Right. Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're all in sympathetic tonus, like we're waiting for the next shoe to drop. We're tense. And then if you make the mistake of watching TV and finding out what's going on, it's as if we're getting indoctrinated into fear. And it's interesting. This is a little off topic, but the other day I was watching, and I don't spend a lot of time watching the news for that reason, because I don't want it to get into I just enough to know what's going on. But I was looking into the eyes of Trump, which let me tell you, I don't do often. And I also was looking into the eyes of Governor Cuomo, who's the governor of New York, where you originally are from, right?
hmm
So, but when I looked into their eyes, I saw fear. I saw real fear in them, and coming from a different place, I think Cuomo was fearful for his state. Like I really felt like he felt like the responsibility of that. He took that very seriously, and I think that the president, his fear comes from a different place. But I still saw that edge of fear, and I was like, whoa, like it like took me back a little bit, because I've tried to foster um, more faith, right, than fear, more a sense of bringing in the heart energy, right, bringing in the sense of, if we love this, if we can love hard enough, true enough, or full enough, that we're gonna get past this and be better for it. So I think things like breath work and awareness, and awareness of your chakras, which there's also, as I've practiced yoga, which of course is not nearly anywhere near what you've practiced yoga, but there were certain postures for different chakras and different things like that could be very helpful at this time, I think. And I look forward to, connecting with your stream to see, what you're saying about this stuff, because I think that we need to do this. And I think it's really awesome of you to be making it, based on donation, because you're opening it to everybody. I kind of do this show, what I call a show. It's really just a conversation, in the hopes that something that we say will spark somebody and help them through this period of time. So this is really a gift, really, to whoever's going to watch, to get something from this and such. And I really appreciate you being part of this. I don't actually know where I'm going, what I'm saying right now. So you do, continue, Beth, continue, talk to me.
Well, I have to say too, after you're just talking about like a gift, like this was a gift to be asked to do this with you today. Like honestly, like some days, I mean, I'm a business owner, and every feeling that you go through, or that Mary Jane down the street goes through, and like Susie Lou out in California goes through, is the same feelings that I go through, and so some days I feel like can be heavier than other days. And today, for me personally, like it was a little heavy for me this morning. And this conversation that you invited me to is lifting. This is a spirit booster for me as well, to be able to communicate this in a safe environment with someone who I like adore and feel very much connected to. And so like this is really a gift for me as well. And I feel like when I have streamed yoga, it reminds me of that as well too, that like what those people that are coming, or whoever's coming, what you're giving to me is the same thing that I'm giving to you. Like I feel like it's so interconnected during these times. There's other times when you're just in a studio space, and yes, it's still a space of giving, but I feel like this is amplified. Like, so everything that we may be spreading as a gift, is just as much as a gift for me, honestly. Like I feel better now that I'm on this call with you today, or this Zoom interaction, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what it is? I think part of it is the attention. And it's where we put our attention, right? One of the reasons why you can't watch a lot of the news, because you'll put your attention into the fear. And when you have an opportunity to share with others, and then they're attending to you, they're actually paying attention, even if you don't know. Because even with this, with my YouTube channel, I don't always know who's watching. There are people who comment all the time. There are people who never comment. You don't know who's seeing it. And I think it's important to put, of course, your best, your best, I don't know, it's the foot or your face, or your best intentions. I guess your best intentions forward in these situations. But it is that interaction. And I think that's more acute. It's almost like if you're trying to meditate, it's always a lot easier to close your eyes and meditate. It's, I have yet to be able to keep my eyes open and meditate. I can daydream, but I can't meditate with my eyes open. So it's like there's something about, you have to almost be more sensitive to the energies going out and coming in when you're doing something like this. And I think it's important that people have options to put their attention in places where they're going to feel empowered and accepted and loved and appreciated. And I think we all need to sort of appreciate each other more. And I think that it's interesting how our isolation, and they call it social isolation, but it's really physical isolation. It's not social. We're being very social. In fact, I've talked to people I haven't talked to in years who I love dearly, and I remember why I love them, because I'm actually taking the time to communicate with them. And I feel so what's the word I'm looking for? I feel so driven to say something right now that I think people, I just think people need to connect. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So, I appreciate you being willing to do this. And so you also have your own, is it you have your own Facebook page that people, well, Ebb and Flow has a Facebook page, but you also have a Facebook page. Why don't you just tell us what else you have available? I'm sure my watchers would love to check you out. So how can they do that besides the Ebb and Flow website?
Yep. So I have Beth McLacklan Yoga, and I think Vicki said she'll put that in the comments so you know how to spell my last name, but which can be a little different to spell. But I have, so Beth McLacklan Yoga, I have a Facebook page, I have an Instagram page, and I have a website. And I'm also trying to start a YouTube channel as well. Something that I feel driven to do right now in this week is a series called Pieces of the Practice. And so I'm looking to put in like little short snippets of pieces of a yoga practice that could help you build a whole entire practice so that the practice is beyond just the physical. And so that's something that I'm looking to do, I don't know, probably in the next like weeks or so. And I'm just putting together little pieces. It's not going to be some, and I'm going to stream it in my basement here where I am at now, maybe with my phone, which is a little bit better streaming capability. But yeah, so all that will definitely be on my my own personal page, the Beth McLacklan Yoga. And I might link it to Ebb and Flow as well too, but just something that while I have this time with myself, I've been devoting, some of this time to putting these pieces up on my own personal yoga page as well.
Awesome. Well, I'll put that all in the descriptor so people can connect, and then I'll maybe make an announcement when you do actually get your YouTube channel. I think that'd be cool. So if we can just get off the topic a little bit, if you are comfortable talking about the kids and how they're dealing with this, because they're such phenomenal children and they're also very different. She's got a daughter who's like a fairy girl. She's got a son who's like, he's so serious. And then you have a baby who's just, so how are they dealing? I'm just curious if you're comfortable sharing about your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. They are like loving life right now. It's so funny. They are totally are like, and they've got my number right now, I'll tell you that. But yeah, Maisie, my oldest, she's like the little fairy. So she has art projects, going. Barbie dolls' hair were being cut this morning and new outfits were being made for the Barbie dolls. I think she was dyeing their hair. I don't know exactly what she was doing, but she's always up to something kind of creative. And then we have my middle child, Chase, who's, I think, probably officially running for the presidential campaign of next coming up in the next few years.
How old is he? I'd vote for him right now. That kid has got it all together.
He's 9, but I legitimately think he might be planning his campaign. So, he's having a grand old time for himself too. And then Mac, my littlest, he just learned how to ride a bike yesterday. And yeah, he's having a fantastic time because he never likes to leave the house or get out of his pajamas. So he thinks this is just, this is really lovely to be able to spend our time at home. I'm really trying to teach him to write his name because he's supposed to go to kindergarten next year. So my big joke is, thank God it's only 3 letters. I only have to do MAC to teach him, because he's like not, he's off, I don't know, playing with trucks or dinosaurs. So I do the best I can to rally them up into a space of organization where they get through, some of their schoolwork, but I've also been letting them just be kids during this time.
Right. I think that's important. Are they aware do they get worried about, I'm thinking of Chase mainly because he would be the one I would think who watched the news, if you even allow it. Is there any like fear on their part, or are they more sort of pragmatic and, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if they understand the full scope of like what is actually happening. I think they understand that obviously they're not in school and they're not seeing their friends and that stuff has shifted. But I've been like kind of surprised with how well adjusted they have been through this thus far. I do think that they do miss the social interaction, especially like Maisie, who kind of thrives off of, I think, the social aspect of school. Right. And yeah, Chase hasn't asked too many questions, which maybe that's coming in like the next couple of weeks or something. Right. but for the most part, like they're doing okay. Chase has all of his schoolwork done in like one day for the whole entire week, but I just been, again, just kind of letting him do that, and just kind of watching each one of them, but also letting them be who they need to be during this time, maybe to
Right.
feel adjusted, Mm.
Right, right, right. Well, I think that's a testament to you and your husband's,
Thank you. Mhm.
ability to let them be who they are. And
Thank
they're such fantastic kids. Um, I love having them in the office, and hopefully soon we can be back,
Yeah.
coming
Mhm.
into the office looking for dinosaurs in the corners and stuff. But,
Mhm.
um, well, do you have anything else you'd like to share? This has been a real pleasure for me. I don't want to keep it too long because, I'm sure
No,
you have stuff to do.
I've got kids that are about ready to bust through the door,
Right,
right? Like, where
exactly.
is she? Where is she?
I know she got home. Where is she?
I can hear her laughing. Yeah, no, so thank you, Vicky. This was like so great, and honest to God, it has changed a piece of my day as well too. So this has been really nice to connect with you and your energy and your intention and your drive. And yeah, I appreciate it, and I can't say enough good things.
All right, honey. Just hold on one second. I'm going to stop the recording.